Welcome back to another episode of Plant-Based Salads. I'm Joey.
I'm Tim.
Today, I think, what are we doing today?
We are doing a meal prep video.
So
this is going to be a long one, I think.
It's actually probably going to be about 45 minutes. I hate meal prep videos, you know that. Because we just have to film for the whole day as we're filming.
Yeah.
And then I've got to cut to the part where we're putting stuff together to try and make it an hour. But it's actually like 2 hours, 3 hours.
Yeah, but we feel that this is important. It's good for you to see examples and not to do exactly what we're doing, but you can always get takeaway, right? So
I think that's the idea. People see this and go, oh, I know what I can do with that. And I would love for you to change what we're doing and make it work for you. Like, that's perfect. So I think we should take a moment first to thank our financial supporters.
Oh, absolutely.
Patreon, PayPal, and the people that just, I don't know if you know this, but when people leave a comment, they leave money sometimes. You can do a tip.
Okay.
And so people will leave like $10 or $5 or $2 or $1 while they comment, which, you know, helps us out a lot.
Yeah, so we wanted to acknowledge that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Without the financial supporters, the show couldn't exist. I'm a teacher. I can't afford to just buy stuff and make it every week just to taste it and all that. So we do this for you, and we want to thank you very much. There's a link below this video on how you become a financial supporter and help support the show, right?
And by getting those videos earlier, you get the opportunity to correct any bloopers or anything like that. So it's more than just money. Everything you guys do, we appreciate that.
Yeah, so what he's saying is when you're a financial supporter, that's a good benefit, right? You get the show or the videos up to 48 hours early. And even for my other channel, for Joey Troxel, you get the videos for that early too, or any private videos that we have. And by doing that, there's times when our friend Jan, right, she gets them early. She'll be like, Joey, there's a spelling mistake in the video. I know that's not something you want to happen. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no. So I know now, right? Like, they're my first 100 people who see it, and they'll let me know something's wrong. So you're kind of my first line of defense, right? Against something like that. So again, thank you very much. All right, so let's talk about why meal planning is so important. We want you to see what we're doing, but we are living proof that if we don't have a plan, it's over, right?
Yes.
And I think we have to learn that lesson every week, don't we?
Yeah. So this video is a little bit different. We have a part of it where we're going to do meal prep to put things together. So if we're prepping some sides, those sides can go in a salad or in a burrito, just that type of thing.
Yeah, we show you what we do because we have to make Lex's food also, right? Even though he's almost 18 and now staying for another 2 years to go to community college, which means I'll be making this food for 2 more years. But and yes, I know he should do it himself. I'm a helicopter parent. But yeah, so we're going to show you. We don't do meal prep like everyone else, where here's 5 meals in containers ready to go. We don't do that, right? We like to make ingredients, right? And have the ingredients ready so you can throw the salad together, right? Everything's cut ready to go, right? That sort of thing.
That's the right idea.
And I feel that gives us more options to make different things. Otherwise, I can't eat the same box meal every day.
And keeping fresh and whole food, right? So important.
Well, as much as we can, right? All right, so I want you to see what we did. It was a whole day of filming, and it really prepared us for the week, or it's preparing us for the week coming up. Let's get to the food. Okay. For today's meal prep, we're going to be making our chickpea salad, and it comes right from this recipe book, Vegan for Everybody by America's Test Kitchen. There's a link to this book in the description below this video. We're actually going to protein it up a little bit, so it's not going to be exact, but the basic recipe is from this book. Let's get started. We're going to start off with 2 15-ounce cans of chickpeas. I've drained them and rinsed them, and they're in this little bowl, but we're not going to dump the whole bowl in. We're just going to put in about 3/4 of a cup of these chickpeas. We want to kind of make the dressing, and the chickpeas are part of the dressing mix. The rest of it we want to actually have whole so we can have the chickpea salad. Next, we're adding 1 whole recipe of starch solution mayonnaise. There's a link right here to where I make this. It's just tofu-based mayonnaise. And Tim's gonna add this whole thing in. We're using the entire recipe. It makes about 1.5 cups, so we're using it all. In the past, we've just used like a cup, but we felt like it's just not enough.
Besides, we're adding so many vegetables to this.
All right, next Tim's gonna add 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. There you go. And now Tim's adding 1/2 teaspoon of salt, so we're just gonna toss that in there. All right, so at this point, we're ready to blend it up. And again, what we're doing here is we're making the dressing for our chickpea salad. So we're gonna blend this, we're gonna pulse it a little bit at first, but we're gonna blend it until it's, nice and creamy. I'm blending it for about 30 seconds, and then I'm gonna take the cover off, and Tim's gonna scrape down the sides just to make sure we get everything down to the bottom here. And be careful with these rubber spatulas because if they touch that blade, they'll slice off. All right, and it looks pretty blended, but we're gonna just give it a little bit more blending here. So here you can see we've got a beautiful chickpea dressing with all the spices in it. That's gonna be really nice for our chickpea salad. Let's get going on the rest of the salad. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add the rest of the chickpeas to a large mixing bowl. Really, you could just throw these in the food processor and pulse it a few times. That's normally what I do. But here I'm just decided I'm just gonna mash them up a little bit because sometimes I feel like the food processor just gets them too chopped up. And I want it to be like a chunky, almost like a tuna salad, right? Is a chickpea salad. All right, there you go. Next, I'm gonna add the chickpea salad dressing that we made into this. Hang on. And we're gonna use a spatula to make sure we get all of that out of there. I wanna make sure I get every bit of that because that's all my flavoring right there. I'm gonna stir that in together to just get it started here. All right, now it's time for the veggies. First, we're adding 2 stalks of celery all diced up, or about 80 grams. Next, we've got 2 small baby dill pickles, about 70 grams. We're gonna pop that in there. After that, I've cut up a bunch of scallions, but we're gonna put about enough to make 2 scallions, about 24 grams in there. And then we've got about 1/4 cup of parsley, or 15 grams, all kind of chopped up and ready to eat. Now, you should be salt and peppering a taste here. We've already got salt in here, so I'm just gonna pepper it, mix it up, and give it a taste here. Just gonna give it a little mixy-mixy. Now, as this thing sits in the refrigerator, it will thicken up. The mayo and all that will come together, and it will not be, I mean, it looks kind of runny now, but it will thicken up very nice. All right, I'm gonna give it a little taste here and see how we're doing. All right, after tasting it, I am gonna add a little bit more salt in here. And this definitely needs more pepper. I just don't have enough in here. I'm not even tasting it at all. And since we're meal prepping this, we're gonna throw this in the fridge. So we've got a container here to pop this in. And we'll let those flavors get to know each other. And then I'll show you in the morning what I do to make sandwiches out of this. So this is 6 servings. We'll break this into 6 equal servings, and each serving will go on 2 slices of bread and make a sandwich. We'll show you that next. All right, so here's what I do with the chickpea salad. I weighed out all the chickpea salad and it came out to 756 grams. If you divide that by 6, because there's 6 servings, it's 126 grams each per serving. So I'm gonna set my scale. I'm gonna make sure it says grams here. All right, and I'm gonna make sure I dish out 126 grams. And that's what's gonna go on all together, my two sandwiches here. So that right there, that's gonna be the filling for my 2 sandwiches. It doesn't look like a lot, but the bread isn't very big and you make 2 sandwiches, so it's actually a lot here, right? Look how good that looks. So delicious. That's gonna take my 2 pieces of bread and I'm gonna start doing it up here. I've got a little bit of lettuce, I'm gonna lay that on here. After that, I've got some nice fresh Roma tomatoes I've cut here. So I'm gonna throw that on top of there. And then I like to put some red onion on here because I love red onion on sandwiches. I'm not a big fan of white onions raw, but I love red onions raw. And then I've just got to split this chickpea salad between both sandwiches. And actually, it's probably easier to just put it on the other 2 slices. So I'm going to put those right there. And I'll just put a little on each one here. These pieces of bread are so small. So this works out perfect. You can see here, there's plenty of it to go on here. All right, and that's looking really good right there. So I'm just gonna take my sandwiches here and push this right on top. Push that down. And look how good that looks right there. Holy smoke. These are gonna be great sandwiches for lunch tomorrow. Same thing over here. Push that down. And this little slice of bread was much smaller than the other ones. And then I've got my little container here. I'm just gonna put both of these sandwiches in there and they'll be nice and snug and they'll keep each other company. And this will be perfect for my lunch for tomorrow. Pretty nice, huh? All right, I'll seal that up. That's gonna be ready to go. So inside this container, I have 2 sandwiches, which equal 457 calories, featuring 41.5 grams of protein, 17 grams of fat, and 37 carbs. This lunch has success written all over it. Next, we're gonna start working on having tofu ready. We like to have tofu prepared all week long to toss in meals, salads, noodles, and this is what we do. This is the case of tofu that we bought at Costco when we did the grocery haul video. And I could have opened this an easier way, but there's 4 tofus in here, and this whole thing, like all 4 of these, was $7, $6.99. Like, that's a great deal. Now I'm gonna make all 4 of these blocks at once, because that's how we roll. So I do this pretty simply. It's nothing fancy. I take my tofu opener, or what meat eaters call a steak knife, and I just put like a slit in each one of these, right at the edge here. And then I just take these over to the sink and let them drain. So that's what I'm doing next. After they're drained, I just come around here with the tofu opener again, and I just come around and I cut all the cellophane off here so I can get them ready to be pressed. And that just kind of makes it simple because all the water's already out of them now. And after that, I'm just gonna lay out these cheesecloths so I can get these things ready to press. And I'll open these here and just take them out and put them right here on the corners of the cheesecloth. Just like that. And then I'll bring this in like this and fold it and press it down, and the same thing here. And then I'll do the other ones on the other side. And then the same thing, I'm just pressing them over here and moving it over, just like that. There we go. Then I take something large, like a cutting board, and actually this works better if they're closer together. I'm just gonna put that right on top of here. And then I take something a little heavy, like a cast iron pot, and I put that on top of there, right in the middle here. I don't want it to be so heavy where it just destroys the tofu, but I want it to be heavy enough where it forces some of the water out. And then this is how I press my tofu, especially when there's 4 blocks. So I'm gonna give that some time to press, and then we'll move forward. All right, I've let them, I don't know, sit for about 10 minutes, and you can see under here how wet the board is. Not only did and these are soaked, not only did the water from the tofu go through the rag, but it already soaked into the board here. So I'm pretty satisfied with this. At this point, they've kind of done their job, and we're ready to start chopping them up and making little cubes out of them. So let's do that next. Okay, a few months ago, Tim bought me this full star tofu pressing cutting system. So I tried it, and let me just tell you, I don't really care for it. Even after you press the tofu, it still needs to be like soaked or whatever. It still needs to have the towel around it to get the excess off. The way it works is you've got this little drain thing that stick on the bottom, and then you stick the tofu on that, and you stick this plate on top of it, and then you put this on it, and then you pop this in here and you screw it in, and this thing squeezes that plate down. And I mean, the water just doesn't, even after you do it, the tofu's all like shiny wet. Like, it just doesn't do the job. So I don't really care for it. I wouldn't recommend it. But here's what I do like about it. It's got one of these things where I can just go right through the tofu and make cubes out of it. And this is absolutely worth it. So if you can buy something like this, I'll have a link on Amazon on one of these below. It won't be this one because this one came with that thing, but I absolutely love this, and you need one of these. So what I'm gonna do first here is I'm gonna take this right here and cut it down the long way before I do the chopping of the block. All right, so now I've got two half blocks, all right? And I'm gonna keep those stacked on top of each other, right there. And then I'm gonna take my cutter thing here and line it up so I get my tofu squares in the middle all square, but then I still have a decent ones on the left. Here you go, right here, all right? And I'm just gonna go left and right here until it starts cutting, all right? And then as it goes down, there we go. Perfect. And now, since I had already cut it this way, right, the long way, these little cubes are ready to go, right? I mean, look at that. They look great. Perfect tofu cubes. I love it. Just gonna get all these here, and then you can just turn these upside down and kind of push right here, right? And then go like this, and there you go. And there's the rest of your cubes. This is really a nice, quick way to cube tofu. All right, so we're gonna make my salt and pepper tofu here. Now, I'm quadrupling the recipe because the recipe is meant for 1 block of tofu. So I'm gonna tell you what the ingredients are for the 1 block of tofu, but I'm actually quadrupling it, so you're gonna see a little difference. The first thing we're gonna do is put in 1/4 cup, and I'm using 1 cup because I'm doing times 4. 1/4 cup of chickpea flour. I'm gonna sprinkle that over here, and I'm using this bowl because I've got a lid for this bowl. So I'm gonna put everything in and just kind of shake it all up. After that, I'm putting in 1/4 cup of organic cornstarch. Then it's 1 teaspoon of sea salt. Next, it's 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and a 1/2 teaspoon of ground pepper. You could mix this up with a wooden spoon, but I'm just gonna put the cover on here and just roll it around until it all gets combined. I wanna make sure that's sealed really well, right? And I'm just gonna do this until all of this gets combined. If you don't have a bowl with a cover, you can use a wooden spoon, or you can also throw it in a Ziploc bag. I don't really want to use plastic, so I'm not doing that, but that's definitely something you can do for sure. All right, let's see what we've got here. And that's looking really good here. All right, next I'm gonna get these ready to go into the air fryer. I'm just using my oven, because it's a convection oven, which is what an air fryer is. And I'm just gonna lay these all out. I'm gonna try and get as many as I can in here. But I don't want them to touch each other. But you can see they're all kind of coated and ready to go into the air fryer. And I'm probably not going to get them all on here because I did use 4 whole blocks of tofu, but that's okay. I'm going to do them in batches. And you can see this batch is ready to go in the oven. I'm going to pop this into a 400-degree convection oven for about 16 minutes. And they should be nice and kind of crispy and brown. You'll know when they're ready. Let's get them into the oven. All right, so after it's cooked, you can see it's all kind of breaded and cooked and browned. So now I have tofu all week long, and I'll show you here in a little bit how I make meals as I put them together. I throw this in salads, I throw this in noodles for Lex. He likes the yakisoba noodles. I throw these in there, and sometimes I just take, like I already took while I'm making this, I took a bowl with 200 grams, I just ate it out of the bowl, and I just put that in chronometer. So this is ready to go for whatever I need it for. I'm just gonna put a lid on it, throw it in the fridge, and I've got a week's worth of protein ready to go. That's it. All right, so here's what I do with these yakisoba noodles. It's kind of this cake thing, right? It's like, they're all like frozen and all that. And they got some vegetables on top. So it goes in the microwave, and you cut an angle right here and just throw it in the microwave. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna toss this in the microwave with this side down, this side up, for 3 minutes, and I'll show you what happens next. Then after it's done from the microwave, I just kind of drop it in this bowl here, that's it. And you can see it's got all the vegetables in there. I mean, if it was me, I would add more vegetables in, but for Lex, this is fine. This is all he wants. And then I microwave some of this tofu that we made, and I just kind of toss it in there like this. And I just kind of mix it up. So it's the noodles and vegetables, right? But it's just got the tofu mixed in with it, and that's it. And there's Lex's lunch or dinner or whatever he wants. He's got a beautiful bowl of noodles, tofu, and vegetables. I just threw it together in just a few minutes because I had the frozen noodles and I had the tofu I already cooked. Perfect, right? It's a great option for kids for sure. Just one of the many things you can make when you have tofu on hand. Let's move on to the next thing. One way to prepare it for the week is to make some Bolognese. This is gonna be a perfect high protein meal and low in calories. We're gonna start with our TVP. We're gonna take 2 cups or 150 grams of organic textured vegetable protein. I'm gonna pop it in a bowl like that. And to that, we're gonna add 1.5 cups of very hot steaming water. And we're just gonna mix that around here. And the idea is that the textured vegetable protein will absorb all of that water and get kind of this ground beefy consistency. It's a really good replacement as a protein for ground meat or ground turkey. I think it's probably similar to ground turkey, more similar to ground turkey than it is to ground beef. All right, so you can see that's kind of absorbing here, and we just need to set this aside for a while. And that will continue to do its thing and absorb any water that's left. All right, while the TVP is doing its thing, it's time to break out the Instant Pot because this is an Instant Pot meal. I'm setting the Instant Pot to saute, and I'm gonna drop in, I don't know, about 2 tablespoons of water. To that, I'm gonna add my veggies. Here's what I'm putting in here. I have 1 medium onion, finely diced, or about 300 grams. I've got 2 carrots peeled, finely diced, or about 150 grams. I've got a green bell pepper, diced, about 120 grams. I've got 3 garlic cloves, finely chopped. And I've got about 3 celery stalks, finely diced, about 110 grams. So I'm gonna toss that in there. And make sure I get all that there. That's the love right there. I'm just gonna mix that around here, give it a little mixy-mixy, and I'm gonna saute these once it starts going. I'm gonna saute these until all of this gets kind of translucent and soft. All right, you can see here that my veggies are nice and softened. It's got that beautiful kind of sauteed color. They're ready. After that, I'm gonna take the TVP that has now absorbed all of that water, and look how big it is. That's a nice big amount of what normally would be ground beef loaded with fat, right? And here we've got something that's almost no fat, ready to go in. So we're gonna pop that in there. It's our plant-based text-to-vegetable protein. There we go. And now I'm just gonna kind of mix that in there. If you need more water, you can throw that in there because the TVP is gonna absorb any water that's in there. I'm gonna give that a few minutes to cook, and I'll keep scraping the bottom to make sure that it doesn't burn. Just gonna keep moving that around for, I don't know, 2 to 3 minutes. I wanna try and get this stuff to cook. All right, once that's been in there for about 3 to 4 minutes, now it's time to add the tomato paste. I'm gonna put in 4 tablespoons of tomato paste. I'm gonna pop that in there and get that mixed up. And this will cause some stickage to the bottom. We want that to happen because then we're gonna deglaze it and that'll create a fond that we need, and that'll be all your flavor right there. So don't be afraid of that. Let it stick a little bit. Let this cook for about 2 to 3 minutes so that happens. But you do want to make sure you keep scraping it at the end because after you've deglazed it, because you don't want to get that burn message on this thing. All right, just gave it a minute to cook and we're starting to get some stickage here. You can see right there. Perfect. Next, I'm tossing in 1/2 cup of red wine vinegar. I'm going to let that deglaze the pan. And I'm going to go around and scrape every little bit of this to make sure that I get all of that stuff off the bottom. That's all the flavor right there. And I'm also gonna shut off the Instant Pot. All right, now it's really important to get all of that stuff off the bottom. Otherwise you'll get the burn notice when you're cooking this thing. We don't want that to happen. The burn notice happens when the Instant Pot doesn't come up to pressure, so it just starts cooking what's on the bottom. It does the little timer thing. It'll say like 19, 18, it'll start counting down. But it doesn't actually come up to pressure. And when that happens, everything at the bottom will just start burning because it's only cooking the bottom. We want to avoid that. So I'm just going to go around here and make sure I've got nothing left. And you need to use a wooden spoon with this because the silicone ones, they'll just bend and they won't get everything off the bottom that you need. All right, you can see that's looking pretty good right there, right? As I move this stuff around, there's nothing stuck to the bottom. You see how clear that is right there, right? And then as I go around here, it's all looking really good. All right. Looking good so far. All right, now that that's off, and hopefully still not sticking, right? Yep, looking good, right? Now that that's off, we can start adding the rest of the ingredients. Now it's time for our spices. Here we have 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning, 1 tablespoon of dried oregano, 2 teaspoons of chili powder, a teaspoon of sea salt, a teaspoon of black pepper, a teaspoon of powdered mustard flakes, a pinch of red chili flakes, we used 1/4 of a teaspoon, and 2 bay leaves. Let's dump that right in. To this we're adding 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. You could use brown sugar if you want, but we're using maple syrup. And now we're adding 1 cup of water. It doesn't have to be hot water, but we still have it in the tea kettle here, so we're just popping that in. All right, so at this point, I'm gonna mix all of this up before I put my tomatoes in. I've learned that you kind of have to put the tomatoes on the top and not stir it in order to not get the burn message. So I'm gonna get this all mixed together first. All right, there we go. And the last ingredient is gonna be 1 28-ounce can of whole tomatoes. Now, pop it in there and don't stir it, just leave it on the top. That's one of the ways we're gonna try and not get the burn message here because it's the tomatoes that burn. So we're gonna leave that on the top and that's how we're gonna put it in. Now it's time to put the cover on the Instant Pot, lock it in place, set the valve to sealing position, and we're gonna cook this for 20 minutes on high pressure. Once the Instant Pot is finished, we're gonna do a quick release. I've already done it. You switch it back to release and let all the steam come out, and when the little indicator pops down into the lid, you know it's ready to open. Holy smoke. All right, I'm just gonna mix this all up here, and perfect. It did not burn, so that's amazing. Next, I'm gonna take my potato masher and I'm gonna smash down the tomatoes, because I don't want whole tomatoes in there, like I do, but I don't want them to be whole. So, and I didn't want to do it before because then they would have went to the bottom and we would have got the burn message. So instead, I'm just doing it now. They're nice and soft, so it's a perfect time to do this. All right, there you go. That's perfect right there. And then the last ingredient is baby spinach. I'm just putting in this organic baby spinach in about 4 cups. I'm just gonna dump it all in there. I've already chopped it all up and put it back in this container. And here it is. And you could turn it on saute if you want, but it's still so hot that it just doesn't really matter. It's gonna wilt anyway, so I'm just gonna kind of mix it in. This is a really good dish to try and get your greens in. So I'm gonna do a magic trick and make all this spinach turn into a really small amount. So I'm just gonna get that all mixed in here until it wilts. And there you go, you can see it's nice and wilted and all integrated. Holy smoke. Look how good that looks, right? You can see the greens in there and the TVP and the tomatoes and the veggies. This is gonna be amazing. Let's get this on some pasta and I'll show you what we do with it. Now to make a meal out of this, I'm using 56 grams or 1 serving of this Pastabilities Real Protein Pasta. It's got 24 grams of protein per serving and it comes in at about 190 calories. I've got that on the plate right here. And then I'm putting in 1 serving of the sauce, and the sauce makes 6 servings. Oh, look at all that. It's a lot of sauce for this pasta. Look at that. Now I'm adding some fresh basil leaves on here, just for a little flavor, and because I like the way it looks. And then if you were so inclined, you could put some of this BioLife 100% vegan Parmesan cheese. This stuff tastes just like Parmesan cheese and it's really good. I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of this on top because I'm gonna be doing food photography, but it's not part of the macros. I'm just using the littlest bit right here. And there you have a beautiful plate of Bolognese pasta for under 400 calories with over 40 grams of protein. This will keep you full all week. For my meals for the week, I'm just gonna split the pasta over all 6 of these and then pour the sauce right on top of it. And I'm just gonna keep on going until I get all of the bowls here filled up and all the pastas put into these plates here. Then the same thing with the sauce. I'm just gonna pour this out until I've got 1/6 of it in each container. Now just keep on going until all the sauce is accounted for. And again, if you wanted to, you could sprinkle some Parmesan cheese on each one. I'm just putting the smallest amount, so it's really not going to affect the calories. I'm just going to cover each one in the top just a little bit. And this first one over here is the one that was on the plate because we're not eating it tonight because it's meal prep, so that's already in there. And there you have it, 6 meals of IP Bolognese pasta ready to go. These would be great lunches, great dinners, whatever you want to make out of them, but they are ready to go. We'll most likely take these for lunches, so Tim and I can have a successful lunch and not have to worry about eating food from outside of our meal plan at work. Remember, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
So here you can see I'm getting chopped salad ready for the week. I like cutting it in small ribbons like this. It's just easier to eat or sprinkle on tacos or put in a wrap. And then I'll cut this and then I'll do a center cut so they're not so big, and then put it in the salad spinner for rinsing. We wanted to include this in to show how we can make things more whole food, fresh, and if it's ready to go, so much easier to have during the week, and the more successful we are. Okay, you can see I have my bowl of lettuce. I'm gonna put water in this, rinse it off, wash it off, and then rinse and repeat, and then I'll spin it dry. And then this will just go in the refrigerator. Okay, I've done a couple rinses with the salad. Now I'll put this top on, give it some spin. And now you can see the excess water. So totally worth doing. Some other things I prepped, I have some red onion. That's always sort of nice on a sweet salad or a savory salad. That works really well. Joey's not really a fan of this, but it's a way to get cucumber in. I love this. I've chopped some up. We'll have this around for the week. think the last thing I need to do is cut up some carrots. That's always a favorite. All right, we'll go and just make slivers like that. All right, these baby carrots, I like to give them a wash. So I've got this flour towel, kind of perfect for this. Okay, I have fresh washed carrots. We're ready to go here. You know, sometimes I look at this size and I think this is the perfect size just to put in a stew. You know, one thing I've noticed with carrots or celery is that if they're sliced in the refrigerator, I'll eat them. But if I have to clean and slice, I've already moved on to the next thing. So just a reminder, even though I'm doing it this way, having a long, you know, carrot with the green top on it, shredding that, it is much nicer. I'm using what we have as to not be wasteful. Okay, I'm gonna put a lid on this and add it to my other veggies here. So, I'm sure you have more toppings or ideas. Red pepper's a nice addition to get some additional vitamin C. Definitely can do that. Okay, salad is prepared. We have red onions, cucumber, carrot. So we've got toppings fixed. Now we're ready to make some dressing.
For the dressing, we're going to start out with this small blender bowl. You don't have to use a blender for this, but I like to do it to make sure all the cashew powder gets blended. Now I'm going to quadruple this recipe, but for you, it's 2 tablespoons of PB2 cashew powder, and that's this stuff right here. I know you know that PB2 makes the peanut butter powder, but they also make a cashew powder. So that's what I'm using here. Again, low in fat, a lot less calories. It's perfect for substituting for cashews. And then we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of water to reconstitute the powder. Again, I'm timesing this by 4, so I'm putting in 4 tablespoons. I'm gonna use my spoon in here to give that a little mixy, and you want it to be the consistency of cashew butter, and that's kind of what's happening here. You can see it's looking like a cashew butter, right? So that's what we want. It's perfect. Next, I need to add 1/4 teaspoon of ACV, apple cider vinegar, but I'm quadrupling this recipe, so I'm just adding a whole teaspoon. I'm also putting in 1/4 teaspoon of lemon juice, but again, I'm timesing the recipe by 4, so I'm gonna put in a whole teaspoon. After that, it's 1/8 teaspoon of salt, but I'm gonna times it by 4, so I'm putting in 1/2 teaspoon. After that, I'm putting in 2 teaspoons of maple syrup, but since I'm timing it by 4, I'm gonna put in 8, but for you at home, it's 2 teaspoons. After that, I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of water. I know we used a tablespoon of water before, but that was to reconstitute the cashew butter. Now it's to make the recipe pourable. So I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon for each serving that I'm doing, so 4 altogether. And once this is all done, if it's not runny enough, then you can add more water to it. Now I've got some other ingredients, but I'm gonna mix this up first, and then we'll add those. All right, now I did blend this, so at this point, I'm just gonna pour the whole thing into this glass bowl here so you can kind of see what I'm doing here, but normally I would just make it right in the blender. Now, it does look a little thin right now, but I promise you, this is going to thicken up in the refrigerator. All right, so the last 2 ingredients that we're gonna put in are some chives. This recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of chives, and I'm gonna quadruple this. The reason I didn't put it in before is because the blender would have obliterated these chives, and you wouldn't have these nice whole pieces of chives in your salad dressing, and that's kind of what we want here. And then I'm also throwing a teaspoon of fresh dill in, and again, I'm doing 4 times the amount because I've got 4 servings here. Now I'm just gonna take my spoon and mix this all up. This is literally our favorite dressing. We've been making this for years, and we went to so many other dressings to try and taste them and have them on salads, but we always go back to this one. And when family comes over, this is the one they want. All right, so at this point, I'm just gonna toss this in the fridge and give it about an hour to thicken up, and it'll be ready to serve. All right, so as you can see here, I've got everything I need to make a really nice salad. And then I got one other thing right here. And that is these Morningstar veggie chicken strips. Someone asked me about some of their products. Morningstars are not vegan. This one is. This does not have any animal products. So it's made of soy, so if that's a problem to you, then that's gonna be an issue. But for 140 calories, right, it's 24 grams of protein, and it's about 13 strips. So we've measured out 13 strips, which is right here, right? So this is 1 serving of 24 grams of protein, and this is a lot of servings of salad, but this is 1 serving of this. So I just wanted you to see how you can put a salad together, throw this on top with the dressing, and you're ready to go. I'm gonna do that for you now, but this is all of the meal prep for the week. So I'm gonna make a salad real quick, show you what that's like so I have something to eat here because I'm starving. And then I'm gonna container the rest of this up and it'll be ready to go in the fridge so I can have salads all week. All right, I'm gonna start out by throwing some lettuce in my salad right here. And I love to have fresh carrots in the salad. And pepitas always add a little bit of crunch right there. I'm a huge fan of red onions, so I'm gonna throw those in there to give me some color and some taste. This always makes it taste a lot fresher for me. So I love red onions. And then I also like to throw some currants in here. If you have some raisins, that's fine. And then I'm gonna throw in that whole serving of the veggie chicken strips, except I've cut it all up because I don't want just strips. So I've got some nice little chunks right here. So I'm gonna throw that in right there. All right, it's looking good. And then I'm gonna put in my dressing. Remember, this is 4 servings, so I'm gonna use 1/4 of this dressing on this salad. I'm gonna make sure I get plenty of that on there because that's all the love right there. There we go, it's looking good. And then for the last part of this, I'm also gonna throw about half a small apple in here, right on top. And there you go. That's a beautiful, protein-rich salad that'll keep you full, and you'll absolutely love it. So I'm just gonna take the rest of my dressing here and pour it into this little container so it's ready to go. This dressing is so good with the fresh dill in it and then the chives. Oh my gosh. All right, so dressing ready. I can make this for lunch any day this week, or I can just have it at night when I come home for dinner. All right, carrots, ready to go. Mostly this is a dinner because I like to take stuff for lunch like the pasta that's already a whole meal ready to go without having to like put it together. I've got my onions here. I'm gonna cover them up. They're ready to go. And of course I've got my pepitas ready to go in these little containers here. And then my currants are ready to go right here. And then for the lettuce, I'm just gonna put it in a big mixing bowl and I'll throw the cover on it. And you know, I'll probably get 2 more salads out of this and then it'll be done. I've got the cover on that, so that's ready to go. So when I come home for dinner, I throw all the ingredients into a bowl to make my salad, and then I cook some of this, throw that on there, and I'm ready to go. So dinners are all set for the next few days. All right, so see how simple that is? Like, you just have this stuff ready like that. The noodles with Lex, right? Like, I already had the tofu. I made the tofu just so I can eat it right out of the bowl. I'll just take a bowl, measure out 200 grams of tofu. It's 165 calories and like, I don't know, 20 grams of protein just as a snack. And I'll sit there at the computer, eat that while I'm doing other stuff. But Lex loves those noodles. And when we go to like P.F. Chang's, it's the noodles and the tofu. So I'm like, well, these are the same noodles. I'm just gonna throw in some tofu and give him a meal, and he loves that.
Yeah, funny story. I was out shopping with Lex for a couple things, and he said, we're out of tofu. And I said, oh, no. We ran out of the 4 blocks we made.
Right.
We have more in the fridge.
Yeah.
We just, yeah.
Yeah, so
not
like,
really out of it, but.
He expects tofu cooked. I expect tofu cooked. We all kind of do, right? And it's totally a great snack because it's loaded with protein. So hopefully you saw that you can just have these things made on Sunday laying around, like that salad with the chicken strips in it. I mean, how easy is that? Everything's cut, right? You come home. Sometimes he gets home at 8 o'clock. Like, I'm not ready to cook like lasagna or something, but I could throw a salad together.
Yeah, and that's perfect for me because I'm looking for protein, some fiber,
yeah,
and that's refreshing to me. It's something I love as well.
So hopefully this gave you some ideas. Meal prep videos, you know I don't like them, but I know you love them, so they're for you. That's our video for today. Hit that like button, show us some love. Hit that subscribe button, click that bell. You get notified every time we have a new video, usually every Tuesday. The school year is coming to an end. I just can't stop thinking about it. And let's leave a comment below. Let me know how you're doing. Did you get any ideas from this? What are you doing for meal prep? You know, if we don't plan, then we fail. Can you just do it on the fly like that? I know that I can't, right?
Yeah, it doesn't. We have done that and it doesn't work.
We have to learn it
so
every single week.
So we know ourselves.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Take care.